When Maria started getting harassing calls from debt collectors, she knew she had to take extreme measures. Her biggest fear was for her son's safety. The thought of him getting hurt because of her debts was unbearable. Looking for help, Maria turned to a kind elderly woman in her building, known for spinning a convincing story in a pinch. Noticing Maria's distress, Irene asked, "Maria, what's wrong? You look so worried." Putting on her best acting face, Maria tearfully replied, "Mrs. Irene, my son is really sick." "Oh my goodness," the elderly woman exclaimed. "What's wrong with him?" "It's complicated, and the medical terms would be confusing," Maria said. "But the treatment he needs is way too expensive for us. He needs surgery, and we just can't afford it. I don't know what to do." "Oh, honey," sympathized Irene. "You should look into getting help from a charity or a medical fund." "I've tried," Maria sighed. "But it's taking forever for them to approve my application. I've been able to save some money, but it's still not enough." Touched by compassion, the elderly woman went to her drawer and insisted that Maria take a small box. "Please, take this," she urged. "Your son's health is the most important thing. You can pay me back whenever you get back on your feet." Grateful for the support, Maria realized that with the help of such caring neighbors, she might be able to lessen some of her debt burden. Despite worrying about the potential consequences for her son, she felt she had no other choice, as the collectors seemed ready to take action. With nowhere else to turn, protecting herself and Andrew became her top priority. Maria got $60,000 without much trouble, as the elderly woman readily offered help even before Maria had to ask directly. 4 years ago, Maria traded the hustle and bustle of New York City for the peace and quiet of a small town. The money she got from selling her share of her old apartment in the city could only buy her a fixer-upper house. The landlady, who was honest about the house needing repairs, showed Maria around. With not many other choices, Maria reluctantly decided to buy the house. Once she settled in, Maria enrolled her 4-year-old son, Andrew, in the local preschool and got a job as a much-needed paramedic at the nearby hospital. Even though her salary barely covered her bills, saving up for repairs seemed impossible. When the roof started leaking in the bedroom, Maria knew she had to do something. Take out a loan to buy materials and fix the roof. She couldn't wait any longer. The loan from the bank was just enough to cover the cost of labor and materials. Maria was relieved knowing she wouldn't have to deal with leaks for another 10 years. To make the loan payments, she took on extra work, taking care of 3 elderly people and giving medical care to earn some extra cash. With her second job, Maria managed to save some money, wanting to fix up her house and make it nice again. But she knew she'd have to live in not-so-great conditions for a few years. Maria kept thinking about going back to the bank for another loan. She liked the idea of paying back a smaller amount every month instead of 2 bigger ones. She decided it would be easier to get a bigger loan than her first one. This way, she could combine all her debts, fix her house properly, and only have to worry about one loan payment. The bank didn't give her exactly what she wanted, but it was enough to pay off her first loan and fix the most important things in the house. Maria put off buying new furniture and appliances until later and went ahead with her plan. However, things went downhill for Maria after she got her second loan. She enjoyed being able to buy things she needed right away without having to wait. She also liked the easy access to money from these small loan places. About a year after this carefree lifestyle started, Maria was drowning in debt. Even the small loan places that said they would lend to almost anyone wouldn't give her any more money. Her credit score was now bad, and at first, Maria tried to keep up with her loan payments. But eventually, she stopped paying the bank and started paying off the smaller loans instead. Even though the interest rates were really high because of her late payments, it was hard to keep her real financial situation a secret from the people in the town. Everyone knew each other's business, and it was impossible to hide big purchases. Maria lied to them, making up stories about money transfers from relatives abroad or a big chunk of alimony from her ex-husband. Irene's help was a lifesaver. Maria used the money to pay off 2 small loans and had a little left over for bills. 3 days later, Maria went to her neighbor on the second floor and told her the same story she'd told Irene. Once again, her friend in need, Linda, offered a helping hand. Linda gave Maria almost $15,000 from her savings, apologizing that it wasn't more because she needed to keep some money set aside for funeral expenses. From her neighbor on the third floor, Maria got $80,000. This was enough to pay off a third of her debts thanks to the money from the retirees. With the smaller debts out of the way, Maria still had the bigger ones to deal with. She thought about who else might be sympathetic and decided to ask Alina, a former student who is now a nurse at the clinic. Alina, who was always trusting and kind, wanted to help, but unfortunately, she didn't have much saved up. She could only offer Maria a few $1,000s from her paycheck. Maria thanked Paula through fake sobs, even though she was disappointed that her coworker couldn't offer more help. Feeling bad, Paula thought about Maria's difficult situation and wondered if she could go along with Maria's plan. The young woman nodded yes, asking Maria to tell her what she had in mind. Maria suggested that Pauline take out a loan in her own name. Maria couldn't get a loan because of her bad credit, but Pauline's clean credit history would make it more likely she'd get approved. "Take out the loan for me, and I'll make the payments," Maria promised convincingly, just as she said she would. When Pauline came out of the bank, Maria took $5,000 from the money and gave it to her coworker. "Here, take this as a thank you for being so kind. It's for you to treat yourself to something nice." "Thanks again," Maria said gratefully. Half the people in the town fell victim to Maria's deceptive charm. She told some people about Andrew's fake illness, others about a made-up battle with cancer, and still others about her non-existent mother's health problems. Maria made up elaborate stories and begged everyone to keep it a secret. "Please, don't tell anyone about the loan you gave me. I'm worried about gossip in the town, and Andrew and I still live here. I'm also afraid someone might break in and steal the money if I keep it at home," she pleaded. Maria was able to manipulate several neighbors multiple times, all while staying friendly with everyone. When it came time to make the first payment on her loans, she resorted to more lies and begging, using her sick child as an excuse for a delay. "I'm so sorry, please," Maria begged, getting down on her knees in front of the person she borrowed money from. "I need you to make this month's payment for me. I'll pay you back for 2 payments next month. I know I let you down, and I'm truly sorry. There was just an unexpected problem. We needed expensive medicine from Germany. But don't worry, I'll start making the loan payments myself again next month." The people in town had no reason to doubt Maria. Not only had they never caught her in a lie before, but little Andrew really wasn't going to preschool anymore. The teacher, worried after receiving a note about Andrew's long absence, told Maria, "My dear, Andrew will be in the hospital for a while. I hope everything is okay." In reality, Maria had sent Andrew to stay with her mother, who didn't know anything about Maria's schemes. To Vera Anderson, Maria made up a story about taking on a second job to make more money. She claimed she couldn't work many night shifts because she had to take care of her son. It's important to note that Maria did occasionally make some payments on the loans she borrowed from others. To avoid getting caught, Maria came up with a clever plan. She targeted people in town who were known for gossiping or being troublemakers, and convinced them to take out loans for her. She then gave them some of the money to keep them quiet, saying things like, "See, I haven't forgotten about my promises. I've just hit a few snags lately, but these temporary setbacks won't last. This money should be enough to hold you over for a few months. Just make sure the loan payments get made on time. As soon as I have some extra cash, I'll pay you back in full. We might even be able to pay off the loan early." Everyone who had helped Maria with money in the past thought they were the only one. They had no idea how big of a scam Maria's plan really was. For 6 months, Maria was able to fool the people in town. By that point, she had paid off all her own debts and was now living off the money she got from other people. She even dreamed of buying an apartment back in New York City, all thanks to the unsuspecting kindness of her neighbors. But her whole scheme almost fell apart when her mother, Vera Anderson, decided to visit, even though Maria had told her not to. "Mom," Maria said, surprised, when she opened the door. "What are you doing here? I specifically told you not to come. Come inside quickly, before anyone sees you." Vera Anderson, confused, asked, "What's the big deal? Can't a mother visit her own daughter?" "Of course you can, Mom," Maria answered quickly. "Come in, let's sit down and have some tea. I'll call a taxi to take you back to your place after it gets dark." Vera Anderson thought Maria might have a boyfriend over and left quickly. What Vera didn't know was that Maria was worried her mom's visit would expose her lie, the lie that the old lady wasn't really dying. If anyone got any of their money back, it was Paula. She managed to pay back the original loan herself. Maria knew better than to ask Paula for the money back. It would be insensitive to bother someone who was already struggling so much. But Paula's situation wasn't good. She lived with her disabled mother and barely made ends meet. It was actually Paula's mom who exposed Maria's whole scheme. Paula's mom, Antonia, knew how much her daughter made, and she started to get suspicious when Paula only brought home half her paycheck a few times. At first, Antonia thought it was a mistake, but it kept happening, and she started to worry. Paula eventually cracked and told her mom everything, begging her not to be mad. "Mom, please don't yell at me. I got caught up in a bad situation with this really nice lady." Antonia understood that Paula was trying to help someone, but she wasn't happy about it. "I'm going to your workplace tomorrow and talk to Maria Alexeyevna myself," Antonia told Paula. "I know you wanted to help a kid, but we need help too. Your employer needs to keep their promises and make those loan payments." Antonia confided in her friend Lydia, who listened carefully and then turned pale. "Antonia, you said Paula took out a loan for the paramedics 6 months ago? I loaned Maria almost $80,000 5 months ago," Lydia exclaimed in shock. As the truth started to come out, Lydia and Antonia went to their neighbors and quickly found a dozen other people who had been scammed by Maria. "The paramedic tricked us all," Victor sighed, shaking his head. "I not only took out a loan for her, but I also bought wallpaper for her house and even hung it up for free. Does she have some kind of magic power? You all believed her fake tears, and I ended up the fool." A group of the people Maria had deceived went to her house. Maria knew things were serious and came outside looking worried. "I guess it's time for me to face the music," she said, her voice sounding sorry. "I'm really ashamed of what I did and the debt I caused you all. I promise to pay everyone back. I'm going to sell this house, all the furniture, and everything I've bought in the past 4 years. Once I sell everything, I'll use the money to pay off most of the debts, and my mom is even going to sell her vacation home upstate to help out. In 2-3 months, everything will be settled." The crowd didn't believe her. Linda, the first person Maria had tricked, spoke up. "How could we trust you, Maria?" she asked. "Look what you've done to everyone. People are having trouble with their families because they're trying to pay off your debts. You need to prove to us that you really needed the money for what you said you needed it for, because I don't believe you spent it on that stuff." "That's not true, Linda. I have receipts for all the medicine and doctor's visits," Maria argued back defensively. "Then show them to us. Let us see them," Linda insisted. "And what about the new fence and those fancy gates? 3 months ago, your yard had a rickety old wooden fence." "You're wrong, Linda. You're lying about that," Maria yelled back. My ex-husband put in the new fence for me, out of the kindness of his heart. Maria tried to calm everyone down, but it didn't work. She seemed okay for a while, but then she suddenly started acting hysterical, ripping at her hair. The neighbors were worried about her mental state. They gave Maria a final chance. 3 months to sell her house and her parents' vacation home and pay everyone back. When Maria shut the gate behind her, Antonia suggested, "Let's head down to the police station tomorrow. Maybe the officer there can give us some advice. This whole situation is a mess, and we need to figure out what to do next." The next day, when Linda and Irene showed up at the police station, it seemed the officer had been expecting them. "Come in, have a seat," he said. "I'm aware of the situation. Some kind-hearted folks already reported it. Now, here's the deal. This is a tough case, and getting justice could take a long time. There's a good chance it would go to court. Did any of you get a receipt from Maria?" "What receipt, Nick?" Linda responded. "We thought she was sincere. We just wanted to help a kid out. Her tears were so believable, it broke my heart. I wasn't thinking about getting a receipt." "And did any of you go to the police station with her to co-sign a loan?" the officer asked. "We didn't, thank goodness. We dodged that bullet," Irene replied. "Maria probably figured a loan wouldn't go through with our retirement savings. I can't promise anything for sure," the officer continued. "You gave her the money willingly. You could try gathering evidence and filing a lawsuit together, like a class action lawsuit. You might win in court, but the real question is how long it would take to get your money back. If she doesn't have much money and only makes a little at her job, it could take years to pay you all back." For the next 3 months, Maria kept going about her daily life. She didn't avoid her victims or her job. When anyone asked her about the debt, she'd just smile and say, "Just hang in there a little longer. Everything will be sorted out soon. I'm working hard to sell the house as fast as I can." However, a week before the deadline she gave them, Maria disappeared. She didn't show up for work and wouldn't answer any calls or messages. Worried, her victims rushed to her house. They found the gate locked, but one of them climbed the fence and peeked through a window. "She's gone," he yelled. "She took everything she could carry. The place is a wreck." From the beginning, Maria had no intention of repaying anyone. Her 3-month grace period was just a smokescreen to facilitate her escape plan. Under the cover of darkness, a moving truck quietly hauled away boxes filled with Maria's belongings, not new furniture. Maria had been renting the house all along. The house itself held no value for her. It was easy to come and go unseen. Letting them take it back wasn't a sacrifice. It was part of the plan. The ill-gotten gains from her deceitful endeavors brought her a perverse sense of satisfaction. The police officer offered what little help he could. Maria's mother's address on file led to a dead end. The apartment had been rented out to a new tenant months ago. Neighbors revealed that Vera Anderson and her grandson had moved out quickly, leaving no forwarding address. Vera claimed she'd sold the apartment complex to a real estate group and left without a trace. Further investigation revealed that neither Maria's child nor her mother had ever been seriously ill. They might have gotten the occasional sniffles in the winter, but that was it. It became clear that Maria had deliberately manipulated their trust, systematically siphoning money from them over a long period. Maria had meticulously prepared for her escape. When she sensed she could no longer continue her scams, she began coaxing her mother into giving up the apartment lease. She fabricated a story about being fired from work for allegedly stealing medication from the clinic. Fearing deportation, she convinced her parents to act swiftly. Completely oblivious, Vera Anderson believed her daughter's story. It never occurred to her to question where such medications could possibly come from within the confines of a local clinic. While Maria skillfully played the remorseful daughter, Vera Anderson tirelessly searched online for property management companies who could quickly find new tenants for her apartment. Luckily, she found one willing to take over the lease for a small fee. Without hesitation, Vera agreed, her concern for her daughter overshadowing any lingering doubts. The transaction was quick, and Vera received the security deposit back in cash. Meanwhile, Maria knew she still had time. By the time her victims realized her escape, sought legal counsel, and initiated legal proceedings, she would be long gone. The victims made every effort to track down the fugitive, even enlisting the help of law enforcement agencies. However, Maria seemed to vanish without a trace. Over time, the initial outrage faded, with many opting to swallow their pride and simply pay off the loans themselves. A handful of individuals burdened with multiple loans contemplated suing the lending company, arguing they were misled by Maria's claims. Maria's former rental house, once a hub of deceit, now sat empty, a constant reminder of their misplaced trust. Despite exhaustive efforts, the fugitive remained elusive, leaving the deceived individuals solemnly vowing to be more careful about lending money, no matter how compelling the story. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more awesome stories in the future. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey, and we'll see you next video.